Hey everyone, it's Ryan Leonard with Wolfnest Property Management. Today we're going to be talking about how to verify income and employment for tenants here in Utah. So let's dive in. Again, just a quick summary that's going to show you what we're trying to accomplish in this presentation and or in that blog article that's going to be tied to this video. So first is how to verify income employment for both employed and self-employed applicants. There's some different things that you want to make sure that you're doing when you're screening those individuals. Also some tips on screening applicants that would be considered as other, for example, students. And then some just good, FAQs about, different verifications or background checks for, multifamily residential. So first thing is very, very critical, whether you're doing this yourself or using a management company, make sure that they have determined or identified their criteria. A big rule of thumb is that you are fair and consistent across your entire portfolio. So if you have a home that rents for $10,000 a month and you have a home that rents for $500 a month, you want to have the same screening criteria to make sure that you're abiding by all of the Utah Fair Housing laws. So again, a great way to avoid fees is to be fair and consistent and have a criteria that is even included in the marketing. If you're going to have a rule of thumb like 3x rent, meaning you want to make sure that the household brings in at least 3 times that monthly rental rate, disclose that on your listing. That's a great way to prevent wasting time with applicants that are not going to pass that criteria, but also it's going to show that you are being consistent or fair across the board. Next one is income and employment verification, some things that you can do for actual applicants who are employed. So one, reach out to the employer, especially with COVID. We've gotten a little bit more hands-on or thorough with this process in the screening. You want to make sure that, don't just take the applicant's word for it. If they say make X amount a month, follow up with the employer. Now, there's certain questions you can and can't ask when you're contacting their employers, but really 3 things that you should be asking is how long has the applicant worked for this company? How much money does the applicant make? And then also the payment schedule. Is it bi-weekly? Is it every other week? Is it once a month, twice a month? Find out what that payment structure is or that pay scheduling is going to be to make sure that they can actually afford that rent. And also verify the income. Again, you want to see pay stubs. You want to make sure that you're going to see, W-2 forms. The more you can do to ensure that this information is accurate, the better. We have ran in the past, at least on the application side of our business or the leasing side, people falsifying W-2s or pay stubs, meaning, they're not truthful or they're not giving us accurate information. Also make sure that if their pay stubs, does that include any type of commission structure? If they get, a large commission structure or a bonus every quarter, but they have to hit certain numbers, that's something that you want to factor in. Again, consistent income is really what we're looking for. Now, someone that is self-employed, this makes it a little bit more tough, not really so much on you, but on the applicant. There's some forms that you can really recommend, but again, verifying bank statements, verify income, depending on how organized or how big their company is, it may be, either harder or easier for them to actually get this information. But if they can't provide you everything that you need, you could require them to get a Form 4506, or a 4506T. The difference between the two is the 4506 is going to have just all the detailed information for the previous tax year, where the T is more of a summary. The former, the 4506, could actually take up to 60 days for the applicant to get from the IRS. So obviously you don't want your property sitting vacant for 60 days. So having them do the 4506T usually only takes about a business day to do it. So that's what I would recommend. Now, other applicants, you're going to see this for a lot of our properties that are closer to the universities where, okay, fair and consistent screening for us, a lot of times undergrad is not going to be making $3,000, $5,000 a month, so they may have a co-signer where we're actually screening, the parents along with the students in order for them to qualify for that home. Great thing about co-signer is they're signing that lease and they are still held accountable should the other applicants, damage the property or not be able to pay rent. They're going to be on the hook for it. So that's always a good option to look at. But again, bank statements is a great one to look at if it's applicable. Saving account statements. We do have some tenants that just don't work. They just have a bunch of money, or they sold some property, or they made a great investment decision and they just got money. If that's the case, they're going to have some saving accounts and we want to see those statements. Also government documents, student loan information, Social Security payments, retirement plans, or government benefits. Those are all things that you could ask to see in order to move them forward in the application process. So bottom line, why should you do the verification? Obviously, when you're screening tenants, that usually means that your property is vacant and everyone's in a rush to get someone into that property, but do not skip this step or turn a blind eye to something that doesn't look right. It's going to cost you a lot more money to evict the tenant, get the tenant out of the property, or if they cause damage. You want to make sure that they can afford the property, and not only that you have recourse to go after them, whether it's their credit or sending collections. You want to make sure that they're going to follow through on their obligations. So don't be one of the people that have evictions happen. Do thorough screening. If you have any questions about your screening processes, or you want to hear more about our screening processes, give me a call. That's my phone, my email. I'd love to discuss your portfolio and what we can bring to the table and see if we could be a good fit. So thank you for your time.